Hey guys, I got a question from a student regarding the research for your essay. So I wanted to point out one thing about CQ Researcher. So hopefully you guys can see this. Let me share my screen. Okay. So, one of the reasons why I suggest taking a look at the CQ Researcher articles is because this one report on vaccines, for instance, provides you with 24 pages of information just about the vaccine controversy, and it was published in 2016. So it's pretty relevant, pretty recent, and it contains quite a bit of information. So it explains, first of all, the topic itself, and then you know from the title of the article what it's going to address. So in this case, it's going to be, should parents be required to immunize their children? So in some way, in many ways, the article will answer that question. It starts off, they all start off with a brief introduction, and then you'll notice on the right side of that first page that it breaks down the individual pages within the article. So not only do you have page numbers that you can use when you're doing your in-text citations, but you'll also be able to go directly to a page if you want to look closely at the information on that one page. So the next step that I recommend would be to look at the pro and con, but you can also take a look at the overview of the issues, the background information, the chronology. It gives you an actual chronological map of what happened over time, like a timeline for the event or for the topic. It gives you specific information about the current situation. So again, because this was published in 2016, you can see down here at the bottom, it was published in CQ Researcher on February 19th of 2016. So again, relatively recent, definitely within the 5-year mark that you want for all of the information on your annotated bibliography and on your argumentative research essay. It's in 2016, so that's perfectly fine. You can use that. It has the at issue. You see your outlook. So looking forward, so it gives you the current situation and also looks forward. The looking forward information is, of course, what you should probably include in your conclusion. It gives you the at issue. You have to look at that a little bit more in depth to know exactly what that is. I'm not entirely sure. And then, of course, it gives you the bibliography. So you definitely want to make sure that anytime you're looking at an article, you're reading through an article or a book, an ebook, just about any reliable source will have a bibliography or a works cited page or a references page so that you know that that information came from somewhere and you can investigate those sources and identify them as legitimate sources because that's, again, really important in research. And then finally, the next step. So scroll down a little bit. You have the issues here, and it sets up basically the different controversies. It includes graphs, which are, again, really great if you can even use some of those graphs. You don't want to overuse any media like graphs or pictures or anything like that, but you're welcome to use those in your essay. It gives you the chronology, so starting at the very beginning, talking about how vaccines began back in the 1800s, and then it goes all the way up through the present. So the very last one is in 2015, California becomes third state to eliminate religious or philosophical vaccination exemptions from school vaccination mandates. So that is current as of this article. And then you would be able to go from that point to find out what's going on currently with that. So specifically, all of the news stories recently regarding children coming down with the measles and tetanus and all of those things. The 18-year-old recently that sort of defied his parents and decided to get himself vaccinated, sort of against his parents' wishes. Kind of funny, I guess, that he called them stupid. um, it's, it's interesting. And then you get all the way down here, and you have the at issue, or like your pro con argument. So, should children have to be vaccinated to attend school? And one side, I'm guessing, is going to say yes, and the other side is going to say no. So, Amy Pisani is the executive director, Every Child by Two. I'm guessing she's probably going to be for vaccinating children. And then Barbara Loe Fisher, who's the president of the National Vaccine Information Center. Now, titles like that can be kind of problematic because it sounds like something that is pro-vaccine, but often those are special interest groups that actually want to provide you with negative information. It's a lot like the reason why I don't allow anyone to write about abortion, because many of the organizations that appear to be very informative are often Christian based organizations that just flat out discourage women from getting abortions. They use scare tactics basically to prevent women from obtaining an abortion. So a woman thinks that she's going into a clinic that may potentially help her, um, and or at least provide her with all of the information that she needs to know before she makes a decision like that. And in fact, it's owned or run by a special interest group, again, where it's very biased, it's very one-sided, and on the outside it appears to be one thing, and on the inside it's actually something completely different. It's not like a government-run organization that is just going to that is purely there to help and is completely unbiased. So watch out for those things as you are reading through these articles, um, because it may not be what it appears to be. So in this case, Barbara Loe Fisher says that parents have the right to exercise freedom of conscience and informed consent to medical risk taking on behalf of their children. And children have the civil right to a school education. So, yes, she's right about that. Amy Pisani, on the other hand, though, I'm guessing is going to disagree. When parents enroll their children in daycare or kindergarten, they should feel secure knowing their little ones will be safe from preventable infectious diseases. So one person is saying it's a parent's choice, the other one is saying it is a parent's choice, but parents should feel safe dropping their kids off at daycare or kindergarten, because they know that all of the children are vaccinated. From there, you have specific notes, and you'll kind of notice these throughout the articles. Again, you can refer to those. You can even click on the links in here to take you to that information. It provides you with the tiny URLs to take you directly to those articles. So this one looks like the first three of them are from Mark Zuckerberg, or about Mark Zuckerberg. This is his actual Facebook post from January of 2016, so that's kind of interesting. Zuckerberg injects himself into the vaccine controversy with his newborn. Alternative vaccination schedules, measles cases and outbreaks, vaccine history, developments by year, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So these are, if you're looking specifically for something within the United States, this can be really important because most of these issues are just within the United States, at least the ones that we've looked at thus far, up to Philadelphia, which is in the United States. But you do get into it. Obviously, vaccines are a global issue as well. So you'll notice, for instance, Zika virus here, or Ebola, malaria, dengue fever. All of those are not exclusive to the United States, and in most cases, those are typically, I guess, considered to be African diseases, things that we probably wouldn't have vaccinations for in the United States. There's a shot I know for malaria. There may be one for dengue fever as well. So people traveling outside of the United States, that they know that they're going to be traveling to Africa, there's like anti-malaria medication or some kind of a shot I think that you have to get before you travel to Africa, and especially in certain parts of Africa. There are quarantine periods and things like that for people who have traveled to certain places outside of the United States, specifically again to places in Africa where they may have come into contact with Ebola. They may have a short incubation period when they come back. All of those things are really important and things to take into account. You pretty much, though, can't travel outside of the United States safely without getting some kind of a vaccination because you don't really know what's out there in the rest of the world. And so, without getting into too much, you know, politicking about that, it can be potentially fine in the United States to not get your kids vaccinated. But as I'm sure you'll kind of understand from the article, it really depends on where you are and yeah, what everyone is entitled to their opinion on this subject. But once you start deciding to travel outside of the United States, it gets significantly more risky. Um, my husband even had to get a shot for smallpox, which I don't think they even give typically in the United States anymore. Um, but because he we knew that he was going to be traveling outside the United States and he could potentially go anywhere, he got a smallpox vaccination, which is I mean, he still has a scar from it. So, um, many of your parents probably got smallpox vaccines, or if you're over a certain age, you may have gotten a smallpox vaccine back in the day, but it's basically been eradicated. So at this point, there are not too many people who are walking around, not people in their 20s, 30s, or younger who are walking around with a smallpox scar on their arm from the vaccination. Because apparently they use like a really big needle. So everyone has a scar from it. But anyway, that is not typical anymore because not a whole lot of people get exposed to smallpox, and especially within the United States. It's not a thing that happens in the United States, but it still happens in other places around the world. So when you travel outside the United States, these things are necessary for sure. You just never know what you're going to come into contact with. So the problem, of course, is that we have sort of a global, um, you know, economy now, and so people are constantly traveling to other countries, and then they bring these things back with them. And again, the unvaccinated population in the United States becomes um, very at risk of contracting these different diseases and stuff. So that's just one example of the kind of information that you should be looking for, the kind of information that you will probably come across. I hope that didn't sound terribly biased. I want to stress the fact that I'm not trying to interject my own opinion into this, but just trying to present the kind of information that you will see as you are conducting research. Much of the information will be contained, especially about people not vaccinating their children. The choice to vaccinate your children is a very American issue. The opportunity to vaccinate your children is more of a global issue, I think, because there are so many countries that don't have the access to vaccines to be able to vaccinate their children. So it's a very different issue, world issue versus national issue. That something contained within the U.S. borders. So the last thing that you will notice on here, this is just a whole host of notes and things about this article. You have a little bit of information here about the author, which you are welcome to include in your essay as well. This may be something that you want to include in one of the paragraphs for your annotation, just giving a brief synopsis of who the author is and why they are important um, in speaking about this particular topic. So in this case, the author is Jane Fullerton Lemons. She's a freelance writer from Northern Virginia with more than 25 years of journalism experience, a former Washington bureau chief at the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Farm Journal magazine. She's covered the White House, Congress, food policy, and healthcare. She's currently seeking a master's degree in creative nonfiction from Goucher College in Towson, Maryland. I hope I said that right. Anyway, she's a writer, so um, that is her job, is to write. So she pieced together all of this information from the sources that she includes in here. So that makes it even more important for you to really look at the sources that she used to get first-hand accounts of the topics. Any journal articles that she may have used from scholarly journals, any newspaper articles that she used, the links directly to the Facebook post by Mark Zuckerberg, for instance. Those are all really reliable sources. They're firsthand accounts of the things that she's talking about. She even provides here the more information so you can contact or go to the website for the American Academy of Pediatrics and take a look at what they have to say, what their guidelines, what their official guidelines are, or official suggestions are for parents as far as getting your children vaccinated versus making the choice to not get them vaccinated. So again, there may be some pro-con information there as well, which again, you want to make sure that you're putting both parts in there. So it's not completely one-sided, not a one-sided argument. You have also the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC website, cdc.gov, is an excellent resource for all things related to healthcare, and of course, specifically disease control and prevention. The Every Child by Two, I'm guessing this is, yeah, national nonprofit organization. So that is the one that the pro side, the pro vaccine person, that's her organization or the organization that she works with. The Food and Drug Administration comes in quite a bit too in this discussion because they regulate what goes into vaccines, what is seen as acceptable levels of the chemicals and things that they use in vaccines. They approve all of that. Generation Rescue, national organization founded by parents that provides information about autism. Actress Jenny McCarthy is the president there, so again, based on the information in the article, you can take a look at what Jenny McCarthy had to say or has to say about vaccines, and then even go to the homepage for her organization and read more information there. Again, just spoiler alert, Jenny McCarthy is against vaccines, and she has her reasons for that, so you can read about those reasons there. National Institutes of Health, again, the NIH is a government organization, so they will have information that pertains to national health because that's what they are. National Vaccine Information Center, again, that was the con side, the organization that the person on the con side is, that's the organization that she's affiliated with. And then the World Health Organization. So again, if you wanted to look at the big picture versus just the immediate national issue, you want to look at it as a world health issue, then you can do that too and see what the WHO, the World Health Organization, has to say about this topic. And again, getting children within the United States as well as outside of the United States vaccinated or not. Finally, you have your official bibliography here. So selected sources, you have really, really nice. This is incredibly well organized. I can't stress enough that most things that you come across are not going to look this organized, which is, again, why I kind of swear by seek your researcher. it organizes it into books, articles, reports, and studies for you. You guys are so pampered, you have no idea. And then, excuse that. And then documentaries. Um, yeah, so that's pretty cool that that it's organized that way. And so again, it provides you with links when it can. There's a tiny URL there, tiny URL there, another one over here to the articles. It's extremely thorough. I cannot stress enough how thorough I think these articles are, and just providing you not only with the topic and everything that you, not everything, but much of what you really need to know to begin your essay, but also providing you with so many additional resources that you can use on your own, and find firsthand accounts of different things, um, by going to the original article or the original book. Because for this assignment, you do need to have sources from different places. So you want to incorporate not only books, but newspaper, magazine, journal articles, ebooks and books I kind of count the same. And you'll notice that the citation format is very similar for those. Those will count as books. Ebooks or print books will count as books. Um, but yeah, you want to make sure that you have kind of all the things that you're seeing in this CQ Researcher article in your annotated bibliography, because I will be grading you on that. And you can check the annotated bibliography checklist and the rubric to see that I want a diverse group of sources for this assignment. And then the same thing for the works cited page for your argumentative research essay. You want to make sure that you have all of those things, um, on all of those different sort of genre of or forms of research on the citation page, and of course within the body of your essay as well. So if you have any other questions, I'm sorry for the like multiple videos this week, but I wanted to make sure that you guys are on the right track with your research, and doing kind of what needs to be done in order to get to the information that you really need, and should want to use in your essays. So yeah, apologize again for the extra video this week, but hopefully this helps some of you out, and points you in the right direction with your research. So have fun researching. Let me know if you need anything else. Shoot me an email, ask me a question in the homework Q&A section on discussion board, and I'll be happy to assist you. Also, don't forget that you have MCC's library homepage at your disposal as well. The librarians are happy to help you anytime the library is open. You can use that virtual chat function on the library homepage, or you can call them, or you can stop in to the library, and they are absolute experts at this. They're so nice, and yeah, they will definitely point you in the right direction on this assignment. So let them know, or let me know if you need anything else.